In a time when the world bowed before lifeless idols, when kings ruled through fear and truth had nearly vanished from the earth, a child was born who would challenge everything. He was hunted before he could walk, hidden before he could speak, and prepared for a destiny far greater than anyone could imagine. This is the forgotten story of Abram, the boy who would one day become Abraham, the father of nations. But before the promise, before the covenant, there was a cave, a king, and a fire. Long ago, the earth was ruled by a powerful king named Nimrod. Nimrod was not just a ruler, he was feared like a god among men. Cities rose under his command, armies marched at his word, and idols were worshipped across the land. But one night, something happened that shook his entire kingdom. Nimrod's astrologers, men who studied the stars and the signs of heaven, noticed a strange and powerful alignment in the sky. They studied the heavens carefully, night after night, until they reached a terrifying conclusion. A child was about to be born. But this would not be an ordinary child. This boy would grow up to challenge the authority of idols, to proclaim the name of the true God, and to shake the foundations of Nimrod's empire. When the astrologers revealed the prophecy, fear spread through the royal court. Nimrod was furious. If such a child existed, he must never be allowed to live. And so the king gave a brutal command. Every newborn male child in the land must be killed. Soldiers would search every house, every village, every family. No boy would be spared. At that very time, a man named Terah lived in the kingdom. Terah was not an ordinary citizen. He was one of the king's trusted servants.
Behold the work of my hands,
and he was also a skilled maker of idols. Statues of wood and stone filled his workshop. People came from distant lands to buy the gods he carved with his own hands. But Terah carried a secret burden.
He is so beautiful, my love.
His wife had just given birth to a son.
We will protect him.
And if Nimrod's soldiers discovered the child, the boy would be killed. Terah faced an impossible choice. Should he obey the king and lose his son, or defy the king and risk the lives of his entire family? For many nights he struggled with fear, but in the end, a feather's love won. Instead of surrendering the child, Terah secretly hid his newborn son inside a cave, far from the eyes of soldiers, far from the reach of the king. And there, in darkness and silence, the child was preserved. The boy's name was Abram. According to the ancient Book of Jasher, Abram remained hidden in that cave for many years. No palace guarded him, no army protected him. Yet he survived, day after day, month after month, year after year. The Lord himself sustained the child, while the world above chased power, wealth, and idols. A boy destined to change history was growing quietly in the shadows. 10 years passed, 10 long years hidden from the world. But destiny cannot remain buried forever. Eventually, the time came for Abram to leave the cave. And when he stepped back into the world, everything began to change. Abram returned to his father's household, but something about him was different. He was not loud like other boys. He was thoughtful, observant, always watching, always asking questions. He noticed things others ignored. Why did people worship statues that could not move? Why did they bow before gods carved by human hands? Why did kings claim power that belonged only to heaven? These questions burned quietly inside him. And before long, Abram began searching for answers. One night, Abram stepped outside and lifted his eyes toward the sky. Above him stretched the vast heavens. Soon the sun rose in brilliant strength and flooded the earth with light. Abram gazed in wonder and said within his heart, "Surely the sun must be the God who rules the world." All day he watched the sun cross the sky, but when evening came, the sun disappeared. Darkness covered the earth. Abram frowned. How can this be the ruler of all things if it disappears? Later that night the moon appeared, bright and beautiful among the stars. Again Abram wondered, perhaps the moon is the true ruler. But as morning approached, the moon also faded away, and the stars vanished with it. Suddenly Abram understood something profound. None of these were gods, they were creations, and if they were created, there must be a creator greater than them all. And in that moment, Abram declared within his heart, there is only one true God, the one who made the heavens and the earth. Not long after this discovery, Abram found himself alone in his father's idol workshop. Statues filled the room, large ones, small ones, carved faces staring into nothingness. Abram stood among them in silence. Then he picked up a heavy staff, and with one powerful swing, crack, an idol shattered, another swing, crash, another statue fell. One by one, Abram destroyed them all. Wood splintered, stone cracked, dust filled the air, until only the largest idol remained standing. Abram placed the staff into its hands. Then he waited. When Terah returned home, he stopped in horror. Broken idols covered the floor. His voice trembled with anger. "Abram, what have you done to my gods?" Abram answered calmly. The largest idol became angry and destroyed the others.
Father, I can explain.
Terah
The
shouted,
staff, it moved on its
"That
own.
is impossible.
Move, that's impossible.
They
Look
have
at this
no
destruction.
power."
But it's true.
Abram
What is
looked
this
directly
madness,
into
Abram?
his father's
Explain
eyes
yourself.
and
I
asked,
cannot worship what my
"Then why
hands
do
have
you
made."
worship them?" The question echoed in the silent room. Terah had no answer, but fear began to grow inside his heart, because he knew this story would reach the ears of King Nimrod. And when it did, Abram's life would be in danger. Soon Abram was brought before the king. Nimrod sat upon his throne surrounded by soldiers and priests. He ordered Abram to bow before the idols of the kingdom, but Abram refused. Again the king commanded. Again Abram refused. Fury filled Nimrod's heart. If Abram would not worship the idols, then he would die. The king ordered a massive furnace to be prepared. Flames roared high into the sky. The heat was so intense that even soldiers struggled to approach it. And then Abram was thrown into the fire. The flames surrounded him. The furnace roared. But something incredible happened. Abram did not burn. The fire could not touch him, for the God he served was greater than the flames. And before the eyes of the entire kingdom, Abram walked out of the furnace unharmed. The boy who had been hidden in a cave had just defied the most powerful king on earth. And his story was only beginning. And so the boy who was hidden in a cave, the child who dared to question the gods of his people, walked out of the flames unharmed. The fire could not destroy him, because the truth he carried was stronger than the power of kings. But Abram's journey was only beginning. Soon he would leave his homeland, follow a voice that called him into the unknown, and become Abraham, the father of nations. And that story is even more incredible. If you enjoyed this journey into one of the most fascinating stories from ancient history, make sure you subscribe to the channel Veil so you don't miss the next chapter.